Hello and welcome to another episode of Levitate Live with me, Ryan Nell. I thought I'd just start by saying Happy Easter. I hope it was a happy one. So it might not have been your absolute favorite Easter of all time, but I hope you found a way to access some chocolate or paint an egg or spend a little bit of time just checking in with you. But I know that some of the doctors who have been doing classes with us were working across Easter weekend. So if that was you, thank you so much. And I'm sorry. And I hope very soon you get the rest you really need and deserve. So what I thought I would talk about today is left brain, right brain. We tend to not chat too much science because I think it's a brilliant way of losing your audience. But I'm reading a really fantastic book by Bessel van der Kolk. My Dutch friends will be laughing at that terrible pronunciation. But anyway, he's a Dutch psychotherapist and researcher and doctor who has had a long, fruitful career in the US and wrote this incredible book, The Body Keeps the Score, about mind, brain, and body and the transformation of trauma. And the whole thing is it's mind-blowing, and I would recommend that anyone go out and read it, and you will find different things in there that take your interest. If you've just joined, I'm talking about The Body Keeps the Score. It's mind-blowing. I know 3 people, myself included, who are reading it at this very moment. It's about trauma, and whether you think of yourself as someone who has had trauma in your life or not, and whether it's capital T trauma or trauma with a little t, we've all gone through things which have left us variously traumatized. And Bessel van der Kolk, kind of really dives deep. His career has sort of taken him through everything from, Prozac becoming available in the 1980s, and he was prescribing it to patients on the very first day and seeing remarkable results, to the very first edition of the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, or DSM, which I think is now on edition number, I don't know if it's 8 or 9 or further along, but it's like the Bible for psychotherapists and anyone really working in that field, psychiatrists, etc. And as he's had this long career kind of investigating, he's gone through sort of wave after wave of scientific understanding. So at first it was all about talking therapies, but they weren't particularly interested in hearing what the patient's experience was or what the ecology was of their trauma. Then it became all about mental disorders are chemical imbalances in our brains, and that's the way we fix them. We fix them with Prozac and antipsychotics and other tools. And then an increasing understanding that you can't just fix the chemical imbalance without recognizing that our bodies are like storehouses for stress and anxiety. And in fact, anything we've repressed on a conscious level, we've not only shunted into the unconscious, but you can almost guarantee that it is playing out in your muscles, in your joints, in your digestive system, in your immune system, etc. And that meshes very nicely with this sort of idea that stress in itself is not a bad thing, but long-term stress has got very deleterious effects and can be the seed of long-term health problems, the seed of illness. So we want to tackle stress not by kind of deleting it from our lives, but by acknowledging that it's here in the first place, that it is an everyday part of life, and yet that we respond to it in very, very different ways. The reason I brought up the body keeps the score, or keep on lifting it up, is that he's got a really, really kind of interesting bit on, so they start to understand the different, as fMRI and other brain scanning tool for nonverbal communication, intuition, creativity, emotion. It is a sensual part of the brain, is what we communicate with when we are crying or laughing or in love or in sorrow. And then you got the left side of the brain, which comes online and takes a while longer to develop. But by the age of 2, it's pretty fully developed, and that deals with rational thought, analysis, language. Obviously, we start acquiring language earlier than 2, but language and things happening in sequence, things happening in time. There being a before and an after. There being cause and effect. But we really, with meditation, want to kind of nurture the right side of our brain, the intuitive, empathetic, deeper connection with the world around us and with our own emotional states, because there is a non-verbal communication, there is a deep non-verbal connection that we feel with our mothers way before we can put it into words. And as we start to acquire the ability to put things into words, which just knows things to be the case, that relies on direct experience, connection, intuition, that sort of sense of listening to your gut. We don't lose the ability, but the left side, the chatty side of our brain, starts to get great priority. It seems to be how you get forward in life. And the more time we spend over there in the world of things happening in a separate and sequential order, the world being sort of rational and categorical, and sort of fitting into neat linguistic concepts. The further away we get from our direct experience of that world. And so when we are learning meditation, we want to get a little bit closer back to how we were when we were very young children. So I think that's enough of a lecture for today. We're going to spend the next 5 minutes just nourishing that part of our minds, of our souls. So I want you to, with me, just allow your eyes to start to fall closed. We'll take a couple of slow belly breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, allowing your shoulders to soften, your brows to soften, your jaws to relax, your spine to soften, your chest, your belly, your hips, your seat. And allow any of that tension just to drain out through the bottom of your feet into the ground beneath you. As you continue to breathe, just notice how it feels to breathe. To be in this moment as it unfolds. How does it feel to float or bask in the ocean of sound around you? How does it feel to be you in this moment? When you're doing this exercise, all sorts of thoughts will crop up. You'll hear a sound, and then a label will just pop up from nowhere, that chatty left side of your brain, the sound instead of listening to it. And you're thinking about your body instead of feeling it. And you're lost in thought instead of noticing those thoughts. You want to imagine yourself almost as if you were a boat, or in a boat, on the surface of an ocean. And every wave that comes along sends the boat just bobbing around. You see the wave approaching. It reaches your stern. It's around for a moment as it affects you. It reaches the prow and it subsides again. The mistakes many of us make are to do with the amount of time we spend in that chatty, rational, language-based side of our mind. The mind that tells us that things are separate events. The mind that highlights the differences between things. The mind that seduces us into thinking that for the length of that wave, there is nothing but the wave. We are the thought. We are the sound. We are the physical sensation. Rather than simply understanding that every wave will rise and fall. It's just a passing experience. And that from time we're able to raise our gaze and notice the whole ocean in which we float. That around the wave we're experiencing are countless other waves, each a thought, each a sensation, each a passing experience. And that the present moment is made up of the sum total of all of those experiences. It is only our rational mind which wants to separate things out. The more we practice this, the more connected we feel. The less caught up we are in every passing anxious thought. the more space we create for those creative, intuitive, and deep forms of knowing to arise. Every one of us is intuitive, every one of us is creative, every one of us contains this deep capacity for knowing and connection. You've been able to do it since before you were born. It takes a little practice to get back to it, to allow the busy, rational, analytical side of our mind to quiet just enough in, and just let that go. One more of those, sending it deep into your belly and letting go of any tension with a sigh. Notice the connection between your body and the seat beneath you. Allow your feet to feel grounded. Rise in your consciousness. And when you like, you could blink open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me for another. Whenever you watch this, I hope you got something out of it. It's my great pleasure to. Now is the time for connection, for deepening our connection with the outside world, but even more so for deepening our connection with ourselves. We need the right side of our brain, we need the left side of our brain, we need the creative, intuitive side that knows, and we need the critical, rational side that speaks. But we're happiest when it's all joined up. So let's nourish that. Look after yourself. Look after each other. Click the subscribe button and the bell icon, which will notify you the next time we go live. I'm here every weekday at 2 o'clock UK time, and I hope to see you back here. Take care.